This session is about Agile transformation. When you talk about Agile transformation, why Agile in the first place? And we will be looking at the different aspects of the Agile transformation and why do they fail in general. And my name is Krishna Chodipilli. I've been working as an enterprise coach for various organizations. And I'm bringing in all the knowledge and experience of what I've done working with various coaches and leaders and CEOs from all over the world. And the lessons, what we have observed, we are bringing it to you. So it's a new, amazing learning curve, and we will be taking from there. Is that okay? Good. So let me give you a quick agenda for this session. So why Agile transformation? Why are we doing the Agile transformation in the first place? And if we do it, why do they fail sometimes? And there are some couple of ingredients, a couple of levers which we need to take into consideration when we are working in the organizations, understanding about human and organization aspects, as well as the culture. So why do we need to take those into consideration? And we also have some recommendations which we want to give it to you, and you can experiment with your teams and your organization and see if what works for you. So if you know for a fact there are some organizations, if it works for you, just copy and see and do something about it. That will be a great opportunity. And we will also open up for some few questions. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And we are more than happy. We are more than happy to walk you through the things what we are talking about. So let me give you a quick, brief introduction about Leadership Tribe. So Leadership Tribe, we've been working with various organizations. When we work with various organizations, it's also facilitating the difficult conversations, helping them with the strategy. And more importantly, we also impart the skills by training various leadership in the organization. It's not only training leaders, it's also helping them to come up with some opportunities. What are the things they can do? They can experiment to help the organization move forward. So when we are working with organizations, it will be with leaders, coaches, focus groups. So we have tons of knowledge. When we have tons of knowledge, what's the point of hoarding it? We want to give it back to the community. So you can learn what is the things which is working externally and see if there's something you can take to experiment within your organization. And one of the things which we also believe in, if you want to train someone, how do you make this training stick? Because if you have observed leaders or coaches come into the organization, it's very nice when the leaders and the coaches are there. And they move on and teams tend to go back to the old world. Why is that? It's quite interesting because what we are trying to do is we build high-performing teams. When we are building high-performing teams, it's not only coaching, mentoring, but also helping the individuals come together to form a team. And we also help startups, individuals, and teams. If you're looking for some mentoring and coaching aspects, feel free to reach out to us and see how we can help you. There's a tons of free content on our LinkedIn homepage. One of my colleagues will post the links to you in the panelists in the attendees list. Feel free to join, follow our company, and download the stuff which is available. It's free. Take advantage of it. And on that note, moving forward. So when we talk about Agile transformation, the first question is, why the Agile transformation? In your chat window, can you write down, type it in, why we are doing Agile transformation? So you should be able to see the panelists and attendees window and type it in, why Agile transformation? So you got survival, changing world, mindset, innovation to be able to beat your competitors, increase the productivity, faster, more efficient, reduce silos, stay relevant, change, maximizing the value, better productivity, customer centricity. Wow, tons of information. That's very amazing. When we're trying to bring change in any organization, there are three core reasons. Let's look at them. One of the major reasons is if we are hitting a crisis, something which has gone really, really wrong. For example, COVID happened. crisis happen. When crisis happen, we tend to take reactive steps and see what are the things we need to do to survive right now. If you're having a fire alarm, do you think we're going to have a webinar right now? The answer is no. So there's one more reason. If we do not change the way we are doing, in 6 months, 2 years, or 3 years, we might not even exist as an organization. That's a threat. That's a threat. And one of the least reasons is an opportunity. If you're working in Agile way, we're going to be better, faster, cheaper, and that will help us to even get better in the way we deliver the value for our customers as well as for the employees. These are the three core reasons. Forget Agile for the time being. For any change, these are the basic things. These are the categories which help us to look at how we're going to improve the change, how we're going to bring the change in. So think about this. As we go through the session, ask yourself, when we're doing any change, why are we doing the change? Okay, we understand in our organization, there is an opportunity or a threat or a crisis. So we need to change. We need to adapt the new ways of doing. So when we're trying to bring change into the organization, what are the things we need to take into consideration and why do things go wrong? So if you looked at the Harvard Business Review, since 2000, 52% of the companies of the Fortune 500 disappeared. These companies disappeared. And with COVID, how many people have lost jobs? How many people do you know have lost jobs? So we are living in a very much of a volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous environment. Things are changing as we speak. Volatile, we do not have enough information. Uncertainty, when things are changing so much, we do not know the dependencies, what is happening, complexity, the number of variables which come in, and it removes the clarity of what we are trying to do, and ambiguity. There's so much information. Okay, what do we need to do from here? So first thing is, okay, when we're doing the change, I'm trying to understand why. Why are we doing the change in the first place? That starts with you or your organization you're working with. Okay, we understand why we do the change. For any transformation or strategy you have, with the information you have, you create a strategy, a plan. It can be around a year, 2 years, or 3 years. When you're trying to implement a strategy, remember, real world is happening. Real world is happening externally. When world is changing, as an organization, we need to adapt to the changing environments. If you do not adapt or change to the market demands or the environments, what will happen? Type it in the chat window. What will happen if you cannot adapt to the changing environments? Lose to competition, okay? Extinct, vanish, no improvement, disappear, you will fall behind, not survive, lose market shares. Beautiful, great answers. If you do look at it, these are the benefits of adopting Agile. It's from the 14th annual State of Agile report. Ability to manage changing priorities. Okay, markets are changing. How do we change the priorities? How do we adapt quickly? Project visibility, IT alignment, business and IT alignment. These are what you're saying right now. When the Agile report came out, these are the top reasons. These are some of the top reasons. Anything which resonates with you, look at them. Type one thing in your organization. If you're trying to bring change, what is the one reason you see here which resonates with you? Type it in the chat window, please. Visibility, business IT alignment, manage priorities. So it resonates with you. These are the reasons which we have seen globally. Okay, we understand the benefits. Okay, the reasons why we are doing is we want to deliver faster. So, of course, there's a reference to software, but we are working with any non-IT organizations. They are also have a business processes. How do we deliver it? How do we deliver value quickly to our customers? Because you do need to understand that markets are changing. When markets are changing, customers need to adapt. When customers need to adapt, as an organization who are supporting the customers, we need to help them to achieve their goals. If they're not able to achieve the goals, do you think as an organization you will exist? Maybe, maybe not. That's quite debatable. If you're not helping your customers, I'm not sure. And most importantly, is the people you're working with, they are delivering the value. They are delivering the value. So customers important or people? Who is more important? That's the conundrum, isn't it? So let's look at it. So why do these transformations fail? So we understand about the markets, we understand what do we need to do. When we're trying to bring change in, why do they fail? Type it in the chat window, please. Why do they fail? You got resistance to change, okay? No buy-in, lose track, lack of leadership support, not properly implemented, inefficient processes, planning, directly jump on transformation with no plan. I love it. Lack of communication, no prop. Okay, you're stealing my thunder now. Really, really great answers. Let's look at it. Some of you have said like operational silos. There's a business unit, you got IT not communicating with the business. When there's a communication gap between the business and IT, things tend to fall down. The organizational resistance, where the employees, there's so many things the employees are doing. On top of it, you need to bring change. If you're trying to bring change, I have to deliver what I'm expected, and I have to learn new things and I have to deliver. So there might be some pushback from the employees themselves. And the slow decision making, we need to make something, let's wait for 3 months, 6 months. When we are not able to deliver what is important at that moment of time, and there are some people in the boardrooms who are not able to prioritize aggressively what we need to do to deliver that value. If you're not able to do that, we can't make changes, and we can't deliver value at the time when it's needed. Complex hierarchy systems, they cripple the way we want to work. And there are a few more reasons as well. And the unaligned processes, because of the lack of structure, people are not able to track what we need to do to deliver. Okay, we deliver something. What is the feedback from the customers? If you're not able to get the feedback, how do we improve the way we deliver? Unaligned processes, which does not help us to get better in the way we do things. Poor knowledge management, okay. The funny thing is, when you work with organizations, we train them, we work with them. That's knowledge. If knowledge is accompanied with actions, that's utter nonsense, according to Krishna. You can have all the knowledge in the world, and if you're not able to take one action, so that would be a call, isn't it? Okay, we know what we need to do. Because when we have this knowledge, what we are trying to do is we are trying to build the ability of our employees so that they are much more skilled and helping what matters for the organization. For that, you need to provide the awareness and giving them the right resources, the tools, the skills, and the people who can support them in the journey. It's fine. Okay, in the name of Agile, we train everybody. Okay, we trained. That's the knowledge you've done. What about the ability? What about this? It's like this. How many of you ridden a bicycle in your lifetime? The first time you sat on a bicycle, how many of you ridden it? Type it in the chat window. Yes or no, that should be fine. Good. It's like this. Did you ever read a manual on how to ride a bicycle? I haven't seen one, but if you do, that's a different story. You can't just read a manual and start doing it. It comes from your experience by doing it. When people have been trained, they are nervous, they're curious. I don't want to look like an idiot because I tried something and I failed. So as an organization, if you're not able to provide that ability, things can go pear-shaped. The support for these employees who are trying new things. These are the obstacles. These are the obstacles which we have seen which slow the transformation or any change what you're trying to do, or they can cripple it completely. It can cripple it completely. The question I have for you is, if you know that something which resonates with you, so what's next? So would it be your call or would it be your boss's call to make the change, or do nothing? It's also okay. That's the question I have for you. Think about it. So when you're trying to bring change in, there are two aspects: human point of view, as well as the organization point of view. What do you mean by the human side? You're trying to bring change in. Is it the machines when they'll do automatically to implement all the change? It's the people who are involved. Let me ask you one thing. When you work for an organization, who do you really work for? Do you work for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones to support them? Or do you go and work, today I'm working for this organization A, or screw my family, it's only the organization? Is that what we do? As human beings, everyone is selfish for their own selfish reasons. And we know that. We do things what matters to us, what resonates for us, because these are the people who will be driving the changes within the organization. And if you're driving the change, the first thing is explain to them, why the hell do we need to change in the first place? If we do not change, we are in a crisis. If we do not change in this moment of time, if we cannot work from home, we might not be able to deliver. That's the crisis, that we need to do things right now. And people are involved in those changes. And if you're not able to pull through the internal changes or the processes which helps them to get better, people will not be able to adapt and successfully change. It starts with human beings, because these are the ones, these are the people, including me, who has to implement or do something about it. And starts with you. It starts with you or the people you're working with. Okay, that's from the human change process. And there are different kinds of, as a coach, as a leader, you need to understand why do people change? Why do people resist any sort of change? There are different kinds of models out there. They are amazing models. You got the Kubler-Ross version model, you got the Virginia Satir, you got the SCARF, Neuro Leadership. There are plenty of models. From these models, at least learn one thing to understand what is the thought process of a human being when they're trying to bring change in. I got one example here. Let's look at this one. Kubler-Ross. When you're trying to bring change in, the first thing which kicks off is, why me? Why now? It's like, no, it's not going to happen. Nah, it's denial. If this is an amazing change process which talks about the human emotions when we are trying to bring some change in. It can be about death. It can be about putting your car keys in the car and car getting locked and you don't have a way to get through. I still remember the time when I was traveling from Bristol to Birmingham. This was a few years ago. Went to a petrol station. First thing I go, I fill the car in, forget my keys in the car, walk to the, pay to the cashier, came back, and the car gets locked. I was like, first, no, it's not going to happen. It's not me. It's not it. I did not do this. I was in complete denial, and I was a bit annoyed with myself. Why the hell did I even do it? And after that, it comes to a realization like, come on, I need to do something about it. It was frustrating to go through those emotions. When at the moment I accepted it, okay, I have to deal with this. Make a call to AA, speak to someone who can come down and help me with this journey. So have you gone through this? Have you gone through this in your life? It can be death, it can be a pain, it can be some sort of a change. If you have gone through this, just imagine the people you're working through, will they go through the same changes? Because everyone is in a different part of their journey. It's a journey everyone has. When you are not able to reach out to them at the right moment of time with the right information, things can go pear-shaped. Things can go pear-shaped. Now let's look at the organization point of view, okay? We looked at the individual. Let's look at the organization point of view. In the organization, when we're trying to bring change in, one thing which is evident is the economic value. Ways we can reduce the cost. It can be around using value streams, trying to map the entire business processes and asking ourselves, what are the ways we can eliminate the waste? What are the ways we can eliminate the waste? Because there are lean methods. There are some amazing different ways of eliminating the waste. That's one is eliminating the waste to reduce the cost of delivery or get more business, get more dollars into the bank account. That's one thing. That's the economic value. And for anything, it's either be efficient or effective in the way we deliver things. If you're working for an organization right now, does your organization have competencies? If they do they have the same, do they have people? Do they have systems, processes, tools, resources? They have similar, even your competitors, they have similar aspects, similar processes, maybe. The only thing is the way we deliver, the way we do things to deliver value to the customer. That's the only difference. And if you're able to bring that kind of a culture where we are looking at everything we do and asking ourselves how we get better from the organization, these are the two key reasons. So to bring change in the organization, at the organization level, there are multiple change models out there. Anything which resonates with you, type it in the chat window, please. What is your, if you have seen these models, type it in the one which you love. The John Cortez, appreciative inquiry, the edge theory, Prossy's Adka, that's my favorite. Ooh, Daryl Connors, William Briggs. Oh, we got someone who says Porter, Prossy, Cotter, John Cotter. So there are different kinds of change models. You need to understand what these change models are and what are the things that will help us to bring change in the organization. An example of it, let's look at Adka. I love it personally because it's simple and it looks at individual and organization change, because for a change to happen, it should start from an individual. An individual is the person who's going to help us change in the organization as well. It's quite a simple framework, and there's a tons of literature on Prosy, and even on the LinkedIn group, LinkedIn Leadership Tribe. Just follow the company and you can download some of the information. And we also have a little checklist which we have created, and it's a guide. So if I were you, have a look at it, follow the company and download those documents. Adka is quite a simple framework. It talks about the awareness, why we need to change right now. So if an organization is going through a crisis, threat, and opportunity, making it explicitly why we are doing the change. By doing this change, how is it going to help us as an organization? And how is it going to help you as an individual? Because our jobs are secure, we'll be learning new skills. When you're learning new skills, your employability will be better. So that's the awareness piece, because you're touching base on why, as an organization and individual, you're bringing both the worlds together. Okay, as an employee, I heard about what is in it for me. Okay, the organization is bringing Agile. Okay, that's nice. So what is in it for me? Okay, I've heard what is in it for me. That's the desire which we are trying to change. How many of you had kids between 5 to 6 years old at one point in your life? Okay. Did you observe on a normal school day? It's like this. I've seen my nieces. So on a normal school day, if they, it's like my sis goes and wakes the little one up, takes them to the toilet, and I still remember one of my niece took a toothbrush in her hand and she fell asleep in front of the sink. I was like, wow. Mom comes in, helps them with the brushing, gets them ready to school. Dad comes in, feeds them, and off to school. But what about the days when there was a school day or a picnic day? Do you have to go and wake them up? Or they come and wake you up? So what happens if it's a picnic day, a school day? So type it in the chat window. Who wakes who up? Parents go and wake the kids up, or the kids come and wake you up? Mom and dad, it's my picnic day. They do. They're excited about the picnic because you're reaching, it's the inner desire. We as adults, we've been the kids one point. Even the times as an organization, if you're not able to reach the inner desire of the employees, we lost it. The transformation is lost. So when you are able to reach out to the inner desires, there is a pull framework. When instead of pushing to the people, the employees in the organization, they're excited. I'm in, I've bought in. What are the things I need to do to help you with the change? Because me doing those things, because I know what is my selfish need is. If I'm able to satisfy myself, I'm able to help the organization as well. And we are both growing at the same time. Okay, the employees bought in. So what we do as an organization, we give them training. Training, it can be about Scrum, Kanban, it can be about different engineering practices. You teach them, you give them the skills, and the knowledge. And the most important thing now, even though they have the knowledge, they don't have the ability to do things. When they're doing it for the first time, they're nervous. Do you remember the times when you try to do something for the first time, or even getting on your bicycle? It can be nerve-wracking, right? It can be nerve-wracking. So these employees are going through the change. Daily stand-up, I don't know. In the name of Agile, we are doing so many meetings. They think they don't understand the why behind the what's. The more they experience, they will be able to get more meaning about it. Even if you teach them the essence, they need to experience it. That's the ability to demonstrate the skills and the behaviors. Okay, they have demonstrated the skills and behaviors. As leaders, you need to provide the reinforcement, or you have your coaches or your enterprise coaches working in your organization to show them, before the change, this is where we are. After the change, this is what we are doing. Look at the progress we are making to make the changes stick. Because after 3 months, 6 months, but just imagine when things go back in the wrong way, in the old way. Do you think that's an effective change? The answer is no, because we want to make the changes stick. So, which brings us to one thing. Okay, you've been working with your organization, you try to bring in, so you create this amazing strategy. How are we going to help people to deliver this? Okay, we created the Agile Transformation Strategy. We understand the current state. We understand the future state. What are the things, what are the actions we need to do to deliver the value? Okay, we all heard that. We created the strategy. We rolled it out in front of the organization. We did everything we covered. Adkar, spot on. You got 10 out of 10. Pass. The interesting thing is, there's a gentleman called John Cotter. He talks about culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Have you heard about John Cotter talking about culture eating strategy for breakfast? Type it in the chat window, please. Not John Cotter. So when we talk about culture eating, Peter Ducker, sorry, not John Cotter. I got carried away with John Cotter in the change models. It's Peter Ducker. Spot on. Thank you very much, Murli. So if you're not able to understand the culture of the organization, because culture is what the employees are doing right now, the current state that will help us. Because as leaders, as coaches, we need to take that culture aspect into consideration. Why is that? Let's look at, because when you're looking at culture, you're looking at the employees, how the employees, customer, vendors, suppliers, how do they work with each other? Is the customers throwing things to the employee saying that get this done yesterday? There are some demanding customers out there. How do we build the relationships where the employees and the customers are working together in unison to deliver some value? It can be your suppliers or your vendors as well. What is the intent, what we are trying to do? And how can we, if you're trying to bring a change in, can we look at the entire system end to end? And the relationships with the outside world as well. Because the business does not work in isolation. It's within the internal organization where you got the HR, you got the compliance, you got the legal, you got the IT teams, you got the business process. Internally, these teams need to work together. If you got some um, an initiative which we need to do, because internally we might need to touch the HR or the business or the IT to deliver some sort of a value. It's not only internal but also external. How are we defining the business interactions with the counterparts and understanding the emotions of the people, how they are going through in the organization as well, that suit the organization, and what are the ways we can measure what matters for us. It's funny, when I work with some of the agile coaches, the first thing they talk about is metrics. What are we going to do? How are we going to measure? Um, um, and how are we going to deliver the value? You need to find the right metrics. You need to find the right metrics which matter to us. I find it funny when I hear some of the agile leaders or leadership who can bring in metrics such as how many story points you delivered as a domain. As a domain, we delivered 10,000 story points. What does it matter? Which means utter nonsense. Story points, these things doesn't matter. Are we delivering the value to the customers? Are we delivering the value to the customers? So if you're able to find the right metrics, because these metrics, they impact the behaviors of the organization. Sometimes if you're policing too much, people tend to hide stuff. People tend to hide stuff. So you need to ask ourselves, what is the right metric which will help me for my team, for my business unit, or even for my enterprise? And what are the things that will help us to measure what matters? So, okay, we are doing everything. Okay, we understand the people aspect, we understand the organization aspect. And in the name of, if you're not able to take these things into consideration, and if you want to paint in the name of agile that we're going to do this, it's like putting a lipstick on a pig. And you can call it whatever. It can be change transformation or agile transformation. You name it under the sun. Remember, it's still a pig. A pig is still a pig. So if you do not understand the human aspect or the cultural aspect, and you try to whitewash with agile or with anything, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So which brings us to some recommendations. Before we go into recommendations, I'm opening up for some questions or thoughts, observations. Type it in the chat window, please. If you want to make your agile transformation successful, we got some recommendations for you, which we will share. Before that, do you have any questions or thoughts or observations? Type it in the chat window, please. Okay, not right now. Thank you. What kind of metrics would you recommend? Okay, for any organization, if they want to bring change in, I heard it from my friend, a good friend of mine. His name is Phil Abanati. He said, like KFC chicken, he has an acronym called BFC: better, faster, cheaper, happier employees and customers. So if you want to be better, how do you define better? That's a question we need to ask in your organization. Faster, of course, we've got business processes. We are delivering some value with some processes within the organization. Try to identify your value streams and ask a question: how do we improve the cycle times? Improve the cycle times, reduce it by eliminating the waste. If you're eliminating the waste, do we get faster? Do we reduce the cost? Yeah. So cheaper. That will also help us to reduce the cost in the way we deliver things. And the most important thing is the employee engagement. Happy employees, they deliver great products. Great products delights the customers. If the customers are delighted, they will give you more problems to solve. If they're giving you more problems to solve, more business for the organization. It's a beautiful cycle of love. If you're not able to understand your employees and see what is in it for them and help them to achieve their goals, do you think they will be able to deliver great products? The answer is no. So think about from your employees, how do you improve the engagement to great products, to build great products? If they're building great products, the net promoter score will be going better. So you can have the world's amazing strategies, even the best strategy. Remember, VUCA environment, world is changing. The more information you get, everything you deliver, get that feedback loop in, you will be able to change your strategy and adapt it as we move along. So good. If you have any more questions, you can drop a note to hello@Leadership Tribe. We'll be more than happy to answer them because we just have a few more recommendations and we can take it from there. Would that be okay? Good. Thank you. So what I have for you is questions. When you're working with your organizations, what are these are some things you can ask yourself or work with your organization and ask them, what are the things, where are we with respect to this? So what are the external drivers? What is the impact? How do the organization recognize this? How are we able to get the information quickly into the organization so we can make some corrective changes? So do we have, as an organization, do we have a vision, mission, and strategy, a clear goals of understanding what change means and what is the employee perceptions? A quick test. In your teams, if your employees, their team members, if they do not know the organization vision, there is categorically something wrong. It's a quick litmus test. Does a graduate in the team understand the vision of the organization? Okay, he understands. Fantastic. Does the work a graduate or a team member, if they're doing, how is it aligned to the vision of the organization? Do we have a mapping from the strategic level to the team level? Do we have that information? Some teams have implemented OKRs to map those objectives so everyone is clear in those things. And some teams are using management by objectives. What I found was OKRs is quite tricky for the first time, but once you get used to it, it's a great way to see how we are progressing in the organization. There's amazing content on OKRs. I think we ran some webinars on OKRs as well. If you want, there's a recording of it on YouTube, or if you need more information, you can drop us a note at hello@Leadership Tribe, and we are more than happy to support you. Okay, when it comes to leadership, what is my role? What is my style, my maturity? Funny enough, some leaders, my job is to tell people what to do. Leadership does not mean I tell you, you go do it. As a leader, if I go and attend my company's meeting, that's a management meeting. If I go and sit down with my team, that's a management meeting. Leadership is when your team are doing the magic without you. That's a simple test. Do you need to be in all the meetings? Can we build that kind of a maturity of a leaders where they understand what the team needs, where they can coach them, mentor them, train them, and help them to achieve the goals? Does the leader, I'm a leader, does not mean that I have to go and attend every stand-ups, attend every retrospectives. If you have to, go for it. The question is, when you're not there, can the team perform the same way? The moment you're able to do it, that's amazing. And you need to be consistent in everything you do. Okay, one day you're not there, the team are doing. What if you're not there for a week, 2 weeks, a month? Ask yourself, does the CEO of your company go and attend every meetings? So that's not only it, it's also the organization culture. What are the principles, values that will help us to improve? Some of the organization is simple values. Values as a human being, you have your own values, even the organization values. As individuals, when we are coming into the organization, we create microcultures. I come back from a community, okay, you come in together, depending on the region where you live in, you create micro communities. Of course, the organization has a culture. When you're trying to imbibe, there's a little bit more coaching and mentality and understanding the personalities and the behaviors and helping them to do it. And even the organization structure. The one organization I've worked with, from a CEO to a graduate, they had 18 layers of leadership. 18 layers of leadership. Just imagine if the company wants to make If the teams want to make a decision, if you want to change a requirement, if you want to do things, it always have to go through the hierarchy. Can we create structures which will help in quick decision making, where people are able to control where they are actually working? I'm working with a customer, even to help them with the NPS, I have to go and speak to my director. And the chain of information and the command that will slow things down. And what are the systems we can use to deliver the value? And you need to understand those, because some organization, it's not only the business processes, it's also the softwares, the automation, the digital innovation which happens with the organization, so we can improve better and faster delivery to the market. And there are a few more as well: the management practices, the work climate, individual skills, or the individual and organization performance, and the individual needs and values. What is in it for them? I found it interesting because the moment COVID hits, most of us are working from home. When people are working from home, are you not, you're saving your time. You're saving your time coming to work. That means that we can do a stand up like 8 in the morning. So that means you can work for 2 more hours, 4 more hours. I don't trust my teams. I need to find out how they can log their timing. Are they delivering all the times they're doing? With COVID, things have changed drastically. I have worked with some people, some employees, their family members are sick in the other bedroom, and this person is trying to do some work so they can live, they can have a livelihood, so they can support their family. When things are changing so rapidly around, there's a lot of environmental information and stress, the negativity from the news, and we got all that information, stress from the family. Do you think this employee will be able to deliver the value? Ask yourself, what are the things I can do to help my teams to be successful, even at the individual level, at the team level, organization, or the business unit level? Are we able to provide the right amount of motivation and the skills and the tools to help them to achieve it? These are the questions I have. These are the questions I have. I'm not telling you these are everything is important, but the choice is yours, because end of the day, when you are in the organization, you need to understand what is the problem we are trying to solve, so you can use the appropriate tools and processes and techniques that will help you to solve the problems. It's not always, okay, this is agile, in the name of agile, let's go do it. Start with the problem. When you're trying to deliver the problem, it's the people who are solving the problem, and the people who are working in the organization. You're creating a culture. If you do not take those two things, that's quite a scary thing to have. So, coming down to questions. I know it was a quick baptism of fire on agile transformation, why we are doing the change, what are the ingredients which goes in there if you're making those change. And there's a lot to take in, because when I train about enterprise coaches or agile coaches, it's a 5 days, and a summary of all the 5 days are given to you in the last 45 minutes. It's unfair, but I'm here, okay, to take questions from you. Type it in your chat window, please, if you have any questions. Culture takes a lot of time. Can't agree more. Yes, it takes. I work with organizations where trying to bring a simple change can take years. It also comes down to how badly they need to change. So COVID, the digital transformation, how quickly did it happen? Change happened overnight. People started working from home. So it depends on the intensity of the change. Either it's a crisis, threat, or an opportunity. So how to coach if the team is uncoachable? I would love to have more information when we hear teams are uncoachable. When we use the word uncoachable, it's more of a generalized statement or an assumption from my point of view. From my filters, I think they're uncoachable. How do we know they're uncoachable? I don't know. So first thing is, if you find that something is not working, ask them, this is the fact. Be open and honest with your team members. This is the issue we have. So for us to move forward with this challenge, what are the things we need to do? Work with your teams. And the most important thing is asking powerful questions. There are some really quick, easy, amazing tools. Asking different questions, asking powerful questions to tease out what is in it for them and what are the changes or the options they can take or experiment that will help them to go forward. And for that, as a leader, as a coach, you might be mentoring them, you might be teaching them, you might be coaching them, or even facilitating difficult discussions. You might be facilitating those difficult discussions. What are the right metrics to show the team's performance? It's it, For me, the right metrics is asking the team what will help us to get better. Simple things like cycle time, um, looking at the entire process is what we are doing, value stream maps, understanding where we are, how we are delivering the value in the organization, trying to identify the cycle time and asking questions, how do we improve? That's one team, they have looked at it as a cycle times for the entire processes. Some teams have looked at quality and the information. The right metrics for the information comes from the customers. What will delight the customers? What will help the customers to get better? So identifying the problems and asking ourselves, what are the metrics we can use to see how we can improve the problems? How do we remove those problems? Those matter. Those matter. So Nagaraj was asking, very rarely someone is uncoachable. It's just the mental model they're operating from. And the mental model you're suggesting to move to, it's not distinguishable enough to see the value. Can't agree more. It's when you're talking about the mental models, it's the state of minds as well. A brain functions entirely different if it's exhausted, lack of sleep, or if you're overwhelmed. It does not function the same way. So you need to understand what is the right state of mind, what will be the good state for the teams to get better. For that, as a leader, as a coach, there are various things you need to take into consideration. For example, are we creating a psychological safe environment? Psychological safe environment, what does it do? So people gives an opportunity for people to experiment, innovate. When you experiment in innovation, things can go wrong. It's like a little bump on the road. So do the employees get prosecuted for trying something new? Will the employees get prosecuted for removing some waste because you did not tell your boss? So how do we create a psychological safe environment? That's a simple thing. Google did an investigation. This was 3 years ago. What will help the teams to be innovative, help the teams to be a learning organization? And one thing that stood out was a psychological safe environment. And there are various things which you need to take into consideration. One of the things I would recommend is there are some amazing training companies out there. Go and invest in yourself. Go and attend, of course, like the webinars you're coming down. Go and attend and find out what are the things other teams are doing. Is there something you can do, something you can copy and try it? The most important thing for you, do something about it. Do something. Take one action, even 1 degree of change now over a period of time. What would that look like? What would that look like? A rising tide. Remember, if you are watching a sea where the tide is going up, a rising tide lifts all boats. It's one variable, but it lifts all the boats when the tide is going up. In your organization, even if you take one thing, how do we improve the quality? One variable. There are so many things you can do. How do we improve the customer satisfaction or the net promoter score? Start with one. You might have tons of objectives with your teams. Pick one. If you want to deliver faster to the customer, do we need to do 100 items at the same time so we can deliver? Can we bring 9 women in a room and deliver a baby in a month? Can you do that? Is it possible? It's amazing. If you can read a book on Mythical Man, it's such an amazing book. He's an ex-IBMer who has written what are the frustrations, how project management, the way you deliver the projects, and when you see some people, okay, the project is getting delayed. Getting delayed, throw more people. Do you think we're going to deliver faster? Or it's going to cripple the project? It's going to cripple the project. So think about those areas. What are the things we can do to make it better? So this is about the agile transformation challenges, the areas what you need to invest in, some of the recommendations I've given. There's one thing you can do to improve is start investing in yourself. Investing in yourself, there are tons of books. If you want to learn about metrics, there's a amazing book called Measure What Matters. If you want to understand a little bit about leadership, this I forgot the name of the author. It's called Turning the Ship Around. Peter, I'm getting confused with the names now. Turning the Ship Around. And if you want to watch a YouTube video on Turning the Ship Around, is a submarine captain who talks about how he empowered his team to make decisions. And because of that, how he was David Markey, brilliant Nagaraj. Thank you very much. David Markey, is an amazing video on YouTube. It's for 7 to 8 minutes. Watch it. And he has written a wonderful book on turning the ship around. I would recommend you to look at it.